115 Zepbound injections, my errors I've made with injecting into the skin and how you can prevent those too. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I've lost over 108 pounds on Zepbound weight loss after the last 2+ years of being on Mounjaro, Zepbound, and TIRZEPATIDE compound. And on today's episode, I'm super pumped to talk about my mistakes. I got a comment on Countess of Shopping Instagram, many comments actually, on a video I recently did, and it was talking about doing the Zepbound injection, the best place for results, which I've done a ton of videos on. I'm not going to touch too much on that today. But then there was this thread about worrying. One of the awesome viewers, Hair Extraordinaire, says, I still worry that I'm doing it wrong in terms of the injection. And so I wanted to go through of my 115 shots. I got some experience, strength, and wisdom to share from not theory, but literally from me doing it into my own body. So I'm happy to share those mistakes and errors I've made. Obviously, this is not medical advice. Talk to your own healthcare provider, but I'm really, really pumped today to talk about some of my foibles. And you have to do that soundtrack as you're talking about these mistakes as well. Okay, let's dive in. Number one, how I always do my Zepbound injection, whether I'm on Zepbound 2.5 milligrams up to my current dose, which is Zepbound 15 milligrams. I've been on the Zepbound 15 milligrams, the highest dose, for the last year plus. It's been quite some time, and always obviously talk with your own healthcare provider in terms of your dosing. So in our Zepbound box, it comes with these photos. And every single time, no joke, even after 115 Zepbound shows or times, I still pull out the box and I put it next to me when I do my injection. First, what I do is pick which location I'm gonna do. And on countessofshopping.com, I do have an injection tracker, totally free, my gift to you. It's what I love using, a track number grows. And so I'll track where I'm putting my injection. There's also an app, I've never used it, but many people in my free encouragement group, which I'll link my encouragement group. I've moved off Facebook encouragement group over to my own private one on countessofshopping.com/group. If you want to go in that group, many people have talked about Shotsky. I think that is. It makes me think of Bravo. It's not Bravo. It's a shot tracker for Zepbound users, and if you're on TIRZEPATIDE or SEMAGLUTIDE. But within the Eli Lilly literature, I still pull out this purple people eater. Just kidding. Just make sure you're paying attention. This purple diagram, because it tells me exactly where to put my injection. It tells me. It takes all of the guesswork out. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to second guess if I'm doing it wrong. Literally, I just pull out the picture. I know what shot location I'm going to do, and then I do the injection. So figuring out the best place within that, or if it's going to be on the left side or the right side, that's one of the other things I sort out. But my mistake that I would encourage you not to make this mistake, I did it once of not pulling out this box 115 times. So 114 times I pulled out this box. One time I didn't. And I literally second guessed all week because I didn't feel like I got the optimal results, that I put it in the wrong spot. Eliminate that. You don't need that stress in your life, honey. You got enough things going on. Just pull out the daggone diagram. You can even screenshot it, put it on your phone, however you wish to use it. For me, I just pull out the box. And then that way I know exactly where I'm putting the sucker. So there's no question in my mind, did I do it wrong? So Hair Extraordinaire, I get it. Like second guessing, 115 injections, I still second guess until I have this diagram next to me and I'm like, I don't need to second guess. I'm literally, it's like painting within the dots, but with a needle, but with the Zepbound pen. Next, in this, I got a ton of questions. And I think these questions were from compound users, meaning TIRZEPATIDE compound. Not to confuse anybody, the Zepbound pen, or Mounjaro pen, the active ingredient is TIRZEPATIDE. So when I say TIRZEPATIDE, it confuses some of you because the compound TIRZEPATIDE goes by TIRZEPATIDE. And so the vernacular of these words can get confusing for some people. So people who are on the compound, that's not from the brand name Eli Lilly in a pen, you have, or from the vials, the Zepbound vials that they have, where you have the needle and syringe, different. The actual compound from like a compound pharmacy. They tell you with the compound using one of the, it's not in there. I was gonna say, here's my disposal box. The needle, using the needle to pinch. With the Zepbound pen injection, I went through the literature to answer this because someone was asking, and it was a good question. They kept asking about it, about pinching the skin with the Zepbound injection. which I have previously done before, and the literature does not tell us in here to pinch our skin. The literature tells us in here with the Zepbound pen, I'm not talking about a needle with the vial or using a syringe with the vial. With the Zepbound pen, it says, place the clear base flat against the skin. Flat. So it's flat, meaning not pinchy pinch. No pinchy pinch. No pinchy. Well, there's no leprechauns around. No pinchy pinch. It's not March 31st. What is that? What's that day? What's that? St. Patrick's Day. It's not St. Patrick's Day. No pinchy pinch. So place it flat against your skin so you don't need to pinch it. I pinched it previously. You know what I got? Bruises. Now I have done TIRZEPATIDE compound with the vial and a needle, and I've gotten bruises with that. That is different, but something to think about with that of keeping this flat against your skin. That's important. Next mistake. One of the things that's not a mistake that I have done since I started this medication 2+ years ago, more than 2 years ago, was I started on element electrolytes. Element electrolytes so much. I started with element electrolytes because elite Olympic like high-level athletes and like FBI sharpshooters and stuff, high-level people use element. I was like, okay, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And I started taking it to help with my Zepbound side effects, diarrhea, nausea, constipation, and vomiting. And it worked so well, and I liked it so much that I have continued the past 2 years. And it's been amazing. Now, they have a new flavor. It's the Element Electrolytes in lemonade. I am obsessed. We make electrolyte popsicles out of these, electrolyte Arnold Palmer's unsweet tea with the lemonade salt in there. It's salty. It does have magnesium, potassium, and sodium, but helps. These electrolytes have helped me so much with my Zepbound side effects. I highly recommend. My kid drinks these. I give it to my 9.5-year-old, and we love it that much. My hot husband drinks it. The cans are also my favorites. I'm obsessed with their cans, particularly during summertime when people have like happy hour. I love having a can. I also have their, I can make daiquiris out of them, which is nice because I don't drink on Zepbound. You do you, but for me, I don't drink. And so these are nice to be able to have like something that's fun and fruity, but not just for like happy hour, but in general after my workouts, but it's more so for Zepbound side effects for me. If it's too salty, then just add more water. You get to customize it for what you want. But Element has been super, super kind to the Countess of Shopping community. I batted my little eyelashes, and they were very, very sweet to give us a discount to get free sticks at drinkelement.com/queen with any purchase. So you make any purchase and you can get some free sticks in that package. Just use this link, drinkelement.com/queen, QUEEN. I will link that down below in addition to all the free resources I've talked about so far in today's video and other free resources I have. That will be linked down below for you. But that was a mistake. I've a couple times not had my electrolytes. For me, very noticeable on my Zepbound side effects. Very, very noticeable. I shan't be making that mistake in the future with my Zepbound injection. I take mine always the day before my injection. So I call that day 0, but really it's like day 7, the day before your shot. The day of my shot, the day after my shot. So like day 1, 2, and 3, because for me, peak appetite suppression and peak side effects are 24 to 48 hours after. The literature does tell us that we can feel it usually 8 hours to 72 hours with it. For me, the peak side effects are 24 to 48 hours, but I know that because I track. So on countessofshopping.com, that free injection tracker, it's linked also down below. Super, super helpful. So you can kind of peg when, if you don't want to have electrolytes every day, although going into hot summer months, honey, I'm having these every day because I'm sweaty Betty. Next mistake with this is near my period. And so for gentlemen, you can earmuff, but near my period, with my Zepbound injection, I knew this from my Botox days, is I will bleed more. We've got a bleeder. For me, I knew this from back when I would do Botox. Well, I still do Botox. Hello. I'm happy, I'm mad, I'm sad. Can you see my face is frozen? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just making sure you're paying attention. But I would bleed a bunch and they'd be like, oh, are you near your period? And so traditionally that's held true for me with any kind of injection. I will bleed more near my period because of hormones and things like that. So just FYI, if you're near your cycle, you may bleed a little bit more with your injection. Or for me, I have more bruising, even if I'm not pinching. And that's just, it's par for the course for me. And so I recognize that sometimes I don't bleed. That doesn't mean that the injection is not working. It's just my hormones with it, depending on when it is and my cycle at that time. Next mistake or error is with birth control. If you're on birth control, this is a huge one. This one always makes my heart palpitate because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sure there are a ton of Zepbound babies. It tells us in our literature with Eli Lilly, if you are on birth control and you titrate up your dose for your Zepbound injection to have other methods of birth control. Now, I'm not a healthcare provider. None of this is medical advice. Always talk to your own healthcare provider. Simply my experience, strength, and hope. But within the literature, Eli Lilly tells us to make sure we have a backup birth control method if you're taking the birth control pill when you titrate up. Right? If we have a delay in gastric emptying on that, that is going to change things up for us. And I was wondering if it said it right here straight on the box. I'm trying to think if there's the newer boxes on that. No, it's not on this one. Yeah, it's on the website and it's on the enclosed, like the little packet that comes in the enclosed literature. Being super mindful of your birth control, particularly when titrating up, super important to have a backup method. Next, scar tissue. I've talked about this one before, and I feel like I would not be doing you the best service if I wasn't brutally honest about, I have a ton of loose skin. Weighing over 300 pounds, I get asked this all the time, and I'm totally happy to give you the answer. Weighing over 300 pounds and now being not 200 pounds, but now being in the under 200 pounds in the 100 pound range, I have loose skin. In fact, it looks like dough, like bread dough. It does. And I'm kind of okay with that. I'd rather have that than where I was being morbidly obese. And so in the literature, it tells us also for our Zepbound injection to not inject into scar tissue. For me, with my stretch marks, some of those old stretch marks are scar stretch marks. They've turned white, meaning they're scarred. So finding this pen to not go into those stretch marks when there's a lot of them on my stomach is challenging. And also on my thigh, I have that same issue. Where I don't really have that issue is in the back of my arm. And so I want to share this with you if you're similar to me and you have a ton of stretch marks that are like white, that have scarred over. It tells us in the literature not to put our injection in scar tissue. So, because it can affect the results of the Zepbound injection, or it's not optimal. It doesn't say why not to do that, but I'm assuming that's the reason why of saying don't do this means that it's not optimal. So putting it on your radar as to where you inject it, for me, on my stomach, it is very, very difficult not to hit a stretch mark because basically all of my stomach is stretch mark. All of that in the tummy area near the belly button, all of that area is all stretch marks. It's all, and it's actually very loose skin, like dough. And here's, I'm not showing y'all my stomach. I know some people are like, show me your stomach. I'm like, no, babes. We shan't be doing that today or any day in the near future. You do you though. If that's you, I'm no judge. Like you do you. For me, I'm not doing that. But knowing that I have this loose skin, knowing that I have this scar tissue from the stretch marks, knowing that may alter for me my stomach results. Now, is my stomach my strongest area? For me, the best area where I feel the most appetite suppression is the back of my arm. People debate me left, right, and sideways on this. That is my experience, strength, and hope. A lot of people don't have that sensation of having a best injection spot. I do. It is always and has been for over 115 plus injections. I vary those locations, but in varying those locations over the last 115 plus injections, the stomach is always the best for me. Or excuse me, the stomach is always the worst for me, and the back of my arm is always the best, the thigh is in the middle. So I know that for me, your data very well may be different. I have an hourglass figure. Our figures are going to be different. Of where I carry the most weight is in my thighs and in my hips. I got good childbirthing hips, honey. And so just with that knowledge of knowing that my stomach is not the best, I wonder, curiosity for me is like, is that because of the scar tissue? I don't know, but I do know that the literature tells us not to put it in scars. In the back of my arm, I have a huge scar. I had to get a tetanus shot from it, from hitting a rusty door. And so it looks like I was in a gang. My husband's like, when he first met me when I was like 18, he's like, what happened to you? Were you in a knife fight? It kind of looks like it. And so just avoiding those areas of scars. Now it's a little bit too low to put the shot in, but I'm using it as an example. If you have some sort of big gnarly scar like I do, obviously not doing it in that either. But the mistake in that is hard for me to be able to do my injection in my stomach without hitting any sort of scar tissue. Like I can see where it's just, most of it's stretch marks and it's very loose skin. So getting the right skin on there It just is. And that's the way my body is. And there's some things I can change and things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that for me is just, I cannot, it's not an area that I can't fix that scar tissue until I have plastic surgery, which is going to be a little while. So here we are. Here we are. Next Zepbound error in my 115 plus injections is disposing of my injection. I talk about this a lot. I actually have a full episode. Make sure you click like and subscribe, and you can go see that full episode talking about disposal, proper disposal of our injection pens. It varies from state to state. You want to watch that episode. If you're new, go binge watch. Most people binge watch my videos. If you're new, there's over 600 plus videos, so you can binge watch all of them while you're working out or carpooling or whatever. Disposing of our needles properly, making sure we're doing that. That's really important. Here's mine. I was going to say, I use now a laundry detergent. Mine is not well marked. It should be marked saying needles, poison, like it should be better marked. This room that I'm in is not accessed by animals or children or anyone else really besides myself and my husband. So I have it up higher. So if children or animals came in, it would not hurt them. Making sure you're disposing properly. If you do have a laundry container like that for your state or area or whatever, that it's well marked. The areas that's not well marked. That's why I love these instead to put injections, because if I have someone who's cleaning my home come in, a family member, a friend, it is very crystal clear to them that there's needles in here and that there's old pens in there. And how you dispose of them, it matters state to state, but that actually when you're done with that, that has your blood on it. It's an injection. Like, don't be gross about that and leave it like, be safe, particularly if you have kids or if you have neurodivergent folks in your family or friends. If you have many of our amazing viewers care for elderly parents, you have a parent with dementia, being smart about how you dispose of your injections. I don't think people talk about enough, and it can lead to errors and problems. I've heard about it firsthand from people in my free encouragement group. So take the extra 5 minutes and make sure you've thought out well for your home life and your situation where you put your pens. Maybe it makes sense to put it in your bathroom, underneath a thing, behind all your toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like just putting, or if you have dogs, I have dogs that love to come in and like chew things. Having this in an area that's safe for pets. If you have cats that scale, what's it called? I was about to say cabinets, shelves. Like if you have cat, like just being really mindful, not just because that's a diminishing word, being mindful of where you put your Zepbound injections is one area that I think we can all agree on and think about of like, okay, what's the next step after these? If you're on the Zepbound vials or on compound with the vial and the needle, the syringe, being also very mindful of that too. That's like an extra layer. These pens have on here these caps, and not that you want to shove this cap back on here after you use it because you could accidentally prick yourself with it, but this is, in my eyes as a mom, safer than like a needle from the vial or with a compound. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. I think we're all in agreement though, we need to be very safe and mindful of that. Being very mindful, very demure of where we put our pens and our needles after doing the Zepbound injection, that requires some thought. And then subsequently after that, figuring out what's the rules for your state. On that Zepbound disposal video, it has the link in the description of where each state, how you properly dispose. Here in Virginia, I can put it in one of those laundry detergent things and then throw that away, as long as it's marked, and then put it in the garbage. Which, by the way, is crazy to me. Like, that's crazy. But that's my state's rules. And for your county, you may also have different county rules to check on. So I do need to, someone had mentioned that to me. They're like, my county has different rules too. So just be mindful of all that county, state, different regulations. In terms of mistakes, I have heard of other things of like people having malfunctions with their pens. For example, we click our pens, we click it over from green to gray, click that over, and then hitting the pen and then counting like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. We hear the first click and then waiting for the second click. Many people have pulled the pen off before the second click goes, and that's when the pen fully goes into our skin. The needle goes fully into our skin. Being mindful, you hear that second click. When in doubt, just keep the pen against your skin. The extra 10 seconds, really just leave it there. I pay out of pocket for these suckers and it's over $500. $550 per, not per pen, but for the box of it. With the OG savings, I've got the older savings card. If you're newer and have the new savings card, it's $650 per box out of pocket. Being mindful of just hearing that second click. If you don't hear the second click, just leaving it there for a minute. It may just be, it just may take a hot second. being patient with it. I've heard over and over and over, probably the number one thing, and I have had the privilege of being in front of millions of people now, millions of views, I should say, not necessarily people, but millions of views at this point, is that I see in feedback and listening, because I love our community and I listen a lot. I talk obviously on a daily show, but I listen more than I'm talking, which is crazy. People who have the malfunctions, it's because they're pulling their pen away too easily, or there's a pen malfunction itself. That is less likely the case and more likely user error. Of if you have someone else injecting for you, like on the back of our arms, we're supposed to have someone else do it for us. I now do my own Zepbound injections. I have YouTube shorts as to how I do that. The literature tells us not to do that. That is a personal choice for me because I can't always be reliant on my hot husband to do my back of my arm anymore because of our schedules. But if you have someone else inject it, make sure they know the rules in addition to you of reading the literature of how to like pull this off and then taking the cap off, making sure that that cap is off, then change it from the lock to unlock, push it against the skin, hit the plunger. Like all of those steps that they're aware and you're aware. If it takes you an extra 10 minutes to review the literature a couple of times so you feel comfortable with doing your first injection, I was literally shaking on my first injection. And I have live streamed like on Amazon corporate on major days of like Amazon Prime Day in front of literally millions of people on that one day, or 500,000 people in one day, more than that. And that doesn't scare me. The pen, putting the pen in scared me for my first. So if you're nervous, that's totally normal. I do want to say it's totally normal. Doing the needle for me freaked me out, but that's me. Also, that's, many people are like, it's so easy, Elizabeth. And they're right. It is easy to do compounds or the vials. It is, once you understand the rules and get the hang of it. Of course, using an alcohol wipe, I don't always say that in my videos. To me, that's just assumed that we're going to be clean and use hygiene, like wash your hands, use an alcohol wipe it down after, before and then after. I feel like that's just assumed, but if it's not, on my Amazon shopping list down below too, I do have my favorite wipes that I love to use. The outlets to stay sanitary. To me, just, I don't know, like my second grader or my kid who's in, he's not in second grade, he's in third grade going into fourth grade. What am I talking about? He knows though about hygiene. So I'm assuming, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just assuming that that to me is like the assumption that there's hygiene too. We're doing a needle with a pen or the vial. And so making sure that we're having good hygiene with that too. If there's bruising, that's also totally normal. Now, rashes have happened for some people in my free encouragement group. Obviously, talk to your healthcare provider. It's also not, I've seen that a bunch. I've seen a lot of people get rashes. That is though where you communicate to your healthcare provider. Do not keep that rash information to yourself. If you're having some sort of allergic reaction, that needs to be discussion with your healthcare provider. Like, do not tell them that right as it's happening. Do not use like my group to help you diagnose. You need to talk to your healthcare provider. That is where you need to take ownership of that. If you're having some sort of like rash or skin reaction, unfortunately, I hear a lot of people, not a lot, but enough people that it's like, okay, like the first 100 people having rashes. Now, like I said, I've listened to so many people, a ton of people here in the GLP-1 community. It's my privilege and honor to be able to listen. But I do want to say that's to some people that does sometimes happen. I have not had that happen on my injection site, having some sort of, I'm trying to think. I've had bruising. Have I had? I'm like trying to think. It's been 115 injections and a lot of life has happened over that time period. So like I lift now. This is the crazy thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a lifter. Like my life has totally changed from being morbidly obese into this amazing, beautiful life as a result of Zepbound. So to recap, this is an awesome topic. So if you ask this question, thank you, by the way. Thank you so much. I do want to make sure you take advantage of the drinkelement.com/clean. If any Element electrolyte purchase, they are my go-to favorite electrolytes. It's made such a big difference. I would never share on something unless I absolutely loved it. And my whole family uses it. We love it so much. Highly recommend drinkelement.com/clean. Our question of the day, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? And our emoji of the day is going to be a lemon. If you're like, what is behind her head? It's from my kid's lemonade stand. My kid applied to be with the Element Electrolyte Kid Entrepreneur Program and he got accepted. I was so proud of him. He had at 4 years old his own business moving garbage cans from the people's garages to the side, made over $1,000. So my kid's got he's got the gift of entrepreneurship. Anyways, Element picked him to do a lemonade stand. It was an Element Electrolyte lemonade stand. And so that was from that Element Electrolyte stand. It was so cool. And my son raised over $150 for our local animal shelter. If you donated to that, thank you so much. There were so many people in our community that sent a PayPal donation. That is going, it has not yet been, as of today's filming date, it's not been released to the animal shelter. We are going next week because we wanted to physically go and bring dog food and bring the money. Bring all the stuff all at one time. So that's to give context on that as well. And if you donated, thank you so much. And thank you to Element for picking my son. He had to fill out an application, and it was awesome for him to be able to like do that whole experience. And on Countess of Shopping Instagram, I showed like the behind the scenes of my Instagram stories. If you want to see that here on YouTube, just tell me down below. But our emoji of the day is going to be a lemon. I pick emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care that you made it this far in the video. And it's our bat signal. I will pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought. Our question of the day, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me down below. And my sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Love you guys so much. Share this video with your bestie, your GLP-1 bestie, and be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Mwah.